Hey there, it's Dave at No Recipe Required. I'm going to do another meal kit review for you today, or a recipe review from a new meal service, Dinnerly. Dinnerly is actually, they position themselves as kind of the value-oriented brand. They are, it's $5 a serve, and I think it's like half the price of what some of the other ones charge. This recipe here is a spinach pesto pasta with roasted tomatoes. And as I read through the card here, this is essentially an easy-to-do pesto. Usually you get out the blender, you make the pesto, the sauce, you add it to the pasta. This one we're just kind of chopping up by hand. We're going to toss it in with some rigatoni pasta. We'll see how it tastes. It's pasta, you know, should be pretty damn good as long as we get the seasoning right. We'll go through the ingredients and see how easy it is to cook or how hard it is to cook. Most importantly, how it tastes at the end, and whether we give it a thumbs up, sideways, or thumbs down. Let's go ahead, we'll follow the recipe card, and we'll cook this thing up. All right, guys, so I've got some water on the stove, coming to a boil. I'm going to cook my pasta in the water, and it said to get the stove going as well on broil, because we're going to broil up some of these tomatoes. The first thing we're going to do is chop up some almonds. This is, again, kind of a take on a pesto, and almonds are always an ingredient in the pesto. I'm not going to chop them all on camera because it will take quite a bit of time, and chopping gets pretty boring. But you do want to go, you know, pretty fine with those. Work in batches. Watch your fingers. And as we get these almonds chopped, we're just going to take them, throw them off into a bowl. I'll come back. I'll finish the almonds in a bit. In the bowl, there we go. They've also given us some garlic. Give us a whole head of garlic. It says to do 2 cloves. Easiest way to break a clove up like this, or a head, put it kind of that pointy side down, and then put a little pressure. You see I lost a couple. And it just kind of breaks apart on you. I actually do that in a bag pretty often. And then all those keep into in a bag. Get rid of the paper. We're going to peel the garlic by taking an end off. That root end, give it a little pound, and maybe a bigger pound, and then it says to grate the garlic. So I got it here. I got a little cheese grater. I'm just going to go through. I don't know if I love this technique of grating the garlic. In fact, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to dice up the garlic. You know, if you had a garlic press, that would probably be a better way to do it. I'm just going to chop mine and then mince it. You can also, a little technique here, once you get it chopped like that, you can lay the knife down flat and just rub it. If you don't have a garlic press, that's another way to get the garlic minced. But we're going to do that to this clove. We're going to do it to the next clove and get that in there. I switched cutting boards because I like plastic cutting boards for garlic. That's those pieces. We're going to do tomatoes. It didn't say, a recipe card didn't say discard the top and the bottom of these Roma tomatoes, but I think those kind of root ends are a bit garbage. I'm going to go ahead, chop them into quarters. It says half-inch pieces. I think that's kind of quarters. So if you go through, I'm going to call those half-inch pieces. We're going to do all of our tomatoes like that. And then the last thing we're going to prep is, they gave us a little Baby Bell piece of Parmesan cheese. And I'm going to go ahead and grate that up as well. So, off camera, I'll finish up our almonds, our garlic, our tomatoes, and grate this cheese. Our ingredients will be prepped. I got my water going, and I got my stove on broil. Okay, guys, so I just took our rigatoni pasta. Our water started boiling. I added a little salt to it. I'm going to take this pasta, add it to the rest, and we're going to cook the pasta for about 8 or 9 minutes, the card says. This is our tomatoes that we chopped up. I've got a baking sheet here that I just lined with some aluminum foil. Throw a pinch of salt on the tomatoes. It says a few grounds of fresh ground, well, it just says pepper, which I like. I like the notion of them telling you to season as we go along. And then a little bit of olive oil. We're going to roast these tomato pieces off with about 2 tablespoons or so of oil. It also said give them a little bit of a squeeze to release some of those juices. I see the juices already coming out, which is absolutely fine. That is all going to start caramelizing in the broiler. Get kind of a little brown bits and golden deliciousness on our tomatoes. I'm going to spread it out into one layer. And while our pasta cooks, we're going to go ahead and broil these off. You do have to watch it. You don't want to scorch it, but you definitely want to get the tomatoes softened and a few kind of brown, darkish spots on our tomatoes. All right, so I just pulled our tomatoes out of the oven, and you can see I'm just getting a little bit of brown bits on there. The juice and that olive oil are circulating nicely in there. And what I'm going to do is add the garlic to these tomatoes. And just the residual heat from the pan and the tomatoes will end up cooking, or at least softening up that garlic. We are going to cook things just a little bit more in the pan. This is the only timing thing that you got to kind of watch. My pasta is going, it's almost done. The tomatoes are done. And so if you lose track of things, you could overcook the pasta or overcook the tomatoes, which you don't want to do. I'm going to take these, I'm going to just move them back to the stovetop. We're going to go grab our pasta, drain it. Okay, our pasta is done. I just tested one, and it is a nice al dente. That is, kind of still pretty firm. It asks us to reserve a half a cup of pasta water, so we're going to throw that there. And then I'm going to go drain the rest of this pasta out and put it right back into the pot. All right, it's time to put everything together. We're going to go back on medium heat. I'm going to add our pasta, although I think I just lost one or two. Pasta back to the pan, grab him. And then we're going to go and add in our spinach. Now this traditional basil is, not traditional basil, traditional pesto is basil. And if you got the problem like I got of more spinach than you can fit in the pan, no problem, just let it cook for just a second and that spinach will wilt down. We're going to add in that pasta water that we cooked before. You can see already the spinach is reducing in size. We're also going to add in the tomatoes that we cooked. Careful of our hot tray. This is going to be a ton of flavor in there with that garlic, the olive oil, salt and pepper, the roast. That roast, heating up the tomatoes gives a much kind of sweeter flavor to a tomato. We're going to add in the rest of our spinach. Give it a little press. Oops. We're just going to let this stir, or let this go. We're going to gently stir. Try not to lose as much as I am. Maybe use a bigger pot next time, Dave. But you'll see how much this goes down. And we're going to do this for about 2 minutes or so until the spinach is wilted and we're able to get everything kind of nicely fitting. We're going to come back in just a second. Okay, it's literally just been like 2 minutes or so, and you can see how much that spinach is cooked down. We're going to add 3/4 of the Parmesan cheese and stir that in. I'm also going to give it a pinch of salt. You know what? I'm going to hold off on the salt because, we did return this to the same pan that we cooked the pasta in, and there was already salted water in that pan. So, before I add any more salt, I'm just going to grab a piece of pasta. Could use a touch more salt. And a little bit more pepper. And then we are good to go with this. We're going to kill the heat. We're going to add in, at the last second, our chopped almonds and stir this in. And then we're ready to plate this up. All right, guys, so we've got our pesto now ready to serve up. Fresh and delicious. You do want to make sure you give it, a good toss. Get everything mixed before. I've got one portion plated already. To me, it certainly looks like 2 good, healthy portions of pasta here. We've got the Parmesan that we reserved, 1/4 of it. We're going to sprinkle on top to give it that little extra bit of love. We'll save that for the other one. And plate looks nice, looks good. This was easy to cook. Took me about 20-25 minutes or so. Let's go ahead and see how it tastes. All right, guys, so we finished our dinnerly spinach pesto pasta. And it took me 25 minutes. That is nice. Cost $5. That is certainly nice. That's a pretty strong value proposition. But most importantly, how's it going to taste? We're gonna find out. So It's pretty solid. You know, the flavors of the garlic definitely there, tomatoes there. You know, it's a very simple pasta dish. Feels makes me feel a little better that the spinach is in there as well. Flavor's okay. It's not super developed, not super creative or anything like that, but it cost 25 bucks. Sorry, took 25 minutes and it cost $5. So I think it is. It's absolutely worth it. A little modification, you might want to like throw a little dab of butter in at the end. That would give it a little bit more richness, a little bit more flavor, or maybe even a little bit more of the Parmesan cheese as well. But very solid meal. If you're looking for a value-oriented pasta dish that, again, makes you feel pretty good because it's got that tomato, got that spinach in there. The nuts I got a little bit of texture in there, but not a ton. Pretty solid. I give this a thumbs medium to leaning up a little bit. If you do give it a try, let me know. Leave a comment in the box. I'll throw a discount code into the description. Check it out and let me know how it goes. Alright, so that was Dinnerly's Spinach Pesto Pasta. Really quite simple to do. 25 minutes. I could easily see you doing this one when you get home from work. I could also see the parents out there feeding this one to the kids without many complaints. So, if you're looking for value, if you're looking for simplicity, this I think is a good recipe for you. Go ahead, give it a try. Let me know how it goes, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time on No Recipe Required.